For those of you who don't know me, my name is Liana. I am the daughter half of the mother-daughter team that is Hale Road Studio, Hale Road Yoga. So welcome and thank you for joining me for this video today. This is not a complete and whole practice. What we're going to work on today is just some different stretches, different movements, different poses that help relieve neck pain or have helped me relieve neck pain, which is something that I deal with quite a bit. And I know that many of you, due to this global pandemic that we're all experiencing in different ways, many of you are working from home, which means that you are spending long hours, possibly in front of a computer, possibly at a workspace that you have cobbled together from what you have at home. Maybe it's not the most comfortable. Anyway, this video will be for you. So the purpose of this video is not necessarily to be done as a complete practice, although you could if you wanted to. But the idea is that I would like to share with you some smaller pieces that you can add into your practice or that you can do by themselves while you're seated at your desk working, while you're in your bed after you've just woken up, or right before you go to sleep, or any other time during the day that you need a little bit of relief for the neck, upper back, and shoulder area. So with that being said, you can watch the whole video, watch pieces, take it as you want to. So to begin, if you're seated in a chair, perfect, work with that. We're going to do some that are definitely doable from both the floor or a chair. And then we'll do some that are a little bit easier from the floor. So either way is fine. If you're seated on the floor, grab something to sit on. I have this meditation pillow here, which is my favorite seat. But you can literally sit on anything, a folded blanket, a block, a bolster, a pile of dirty laundry, whatever you have available. Find a seat where your hips are at least in line with your knees so that your knees aren't coming up super high, because then you notice that my lower back is rounding and my shoulders start to come forward. So when you sit up on something, the pelvis starts to tip forward and you get this nice natural curve in the low back, which encourages better posture through the entire spine, through the upper back, and even through the neck as well. And you may find that if you have a workspace at home, you'd like to integrate something that you sit on to work with this posture as well, to help you when you are in front of the computer or working at your desk in some other capacity. Anyway, once we've got our posture taken care of, let's just close the eyes for a moment and take a full deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let's do one more like that. Inhale through the nose and exhale out of the mouth. This is a great breath for relieving stress from the area of the jaw. You can do it any time of day. I do quite a few because I find that a lot of my neck pain is linked to a lot of tightness that I carry in my jaw due to my many anxiety disorders. So first, we'll begin just by rolling the shoulders up to the ears, building a little tension here around the neck, and then roll them down the back. And just notice any sensations, any little crunchy feelings in the shoulder blades. Let's do one more like that. Inhale. And roll them down the back. All right, so now we've got this nice lowered shoulder posture. And then from here, we're going to keep that distance between the shoulders and the ears as much as possible. And we're going to drop the chin forward towards the chest. And you may find that the whole upper back wants to round forward here, but see if you can keep the shoulders relaxed down the back so that the only part of the spine that's bending is the neck. And then notice if you're tightening the jaw Or if the shoulders want to scrunch up, let's just breathe a little relaxation right here where we are. Let the head be nice and heavy. You may start to feel a gentle pull somewhere along the neck, maybe even into the upper back. And then we'll start to bring the head back to neutral, lifting the chin, bringing the gaze up towards the ceiling. So we're just going to go right between these two movements, keeping the shoulders nice and soft, moving nice and slow, chin to chest, and then chin pointing up towards the ceiling. And as with any of these movements, you can make them super small. We're not trying to experience pain here. Just a gentle stretch. And next time we'll bring the chin back to a space where it's level with the floor. And then from wherever you are, seated, cross-legged, kneeling, we're going to relax the right arm down by your sides. We're going to take the left hand and reach it around to grab onto the right arm. Or if this is not comfortable for your elbow or your shoulder, you can simply grab the base of your shirt or the top of your pants and just kind of get a little hold. What we're trying to do is create a little bit of space here in the shoulder before we even move the head, so that when we tip the right ear towards the right shoulder, we've already got this arm kind of stretched behind us, so we're increasing this space here. This is a pose that I generally will hold for anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. We use this in Yin Yoga to really get into the deeper fascia, that deeper connective tissue of the neck and shoulder area. So we're not going to hold it that long today, but I invite you to experiment with holding it for longer periods of time throughout the day. And then when you're done, you're going to release really slowly. If you've never practiced Yin before, this might be a new experience for you. With Yin Yoga, when you release out of those deep, long-held stretches, it's pretty common to experience the sensation in a more intense way as you come out of the pose, because your body's gotten used to being in that shape for so long, and then when you come out, there's a reaction. So know that that's okay. And then once you come out of the pose, just give yourself a few moments in stillness to allow the body to release and relax. And for the sake of being even today, even though we didn't hold very long, we'll do the other side. So you'll relax that left arm, reaching the right hand around, either grabbing onto the arm or grabbing onto your shirt or wherever you can find a connection. Relaxing that shoulder. And then tipping the left ear over towards the left shoulder. And while you're in these Yin style poses where we spend some longer time and really allow that stress to gently kind of seep into the connective tissue, be sure to work on relaxing the body. So you may find that when you're in a pose like this, that your shoulder will start to creep up, or the body will react in some way where it's trying to protect that area of connective tissue. So you want to keep that awareness in the area of gentle stress, which today is the neck. And just notice what you experience. Notice if the body is trying to protect that area, and then see if maybe you need to back off a little bit. It's always okay just to spend a little bit of time in the pose rather than minutes on end. All right, let's slowly release. And of course, usually when I do this, I have a timer so I can tell how long I've spent on each side, and I'll do the same amount of time on each side. So when you're practicing at home, get your stopwatch out or your phone and set a little timer for a minute or two to start, and then maybe next time or after you do a few shorter ones, push it up to a couple of minutes and work from there. Okay. If you ever get uncomfortable in your seat, feel free to move. I can't see you. You can do whatever you want. All right. Our next pose that I want to, well, it's actually more of a movement that I want to work with you all, is going to be a little flow that you can actually do from standing, you can do from seated, you can do it from side angle pose, which is usually how I work it, but I have found that I really enjoy working it from seated as well. So we're going to come into a side bend to the left. So we'll place the left hand down on the mat or on a block or on the floor from wherever you are. If you're in a chair, you might want to put your hand on a desk next to you or against the wall for support so that you don't lose too much of this or rely too much on your core connection to protect your low back, because we're going to be here for a little bit and we're not warmed up. So find some sort of support next to you, and then we're just going to tip to the side just a bit. So again, draw that low belly in just slightly. We don't want to relax that because then our low back is going to get some of this discomfort here. So we're going to take the right arm up by the ear. And then with each inhale, we're going to look up towards the hand. So we're creating a little contraction here in the right side of the neck, building some tension. And then on the exhale, we're going to really energetically turn the palm out and draw that shoulder down and away as we look down our left side towards the floor. So I'm really pushing with that elbow. This right arm is very energetic here. I can feel it all the way into my shoulder blade. We're creating a big stretch right here through the right side of the neck, all the way down the shoulder into the shoulder blade. So keep that right arm energetic. Then inhale, we extend that arm and gaze up. So I usually flow through this a few times, 3 or 4, and then I hold for a little while, both on this bent arm and on this extended arm. So we'll flow a couple of times, exhaling here as you gaze down, inhaling as you extend the arm, and this time let's hold here. Building quite a bit of energy through that shoulder, through the neck. If it becomes uncomfortable or your arm falls asleep, feel free to come out of the pose. And then we'll exhale and we'll hold for a few rounds of breath here. You'll notice I'm turning this palm out. That really pushes the shoulder blade towards the midline of my back. And then let's come up to seated. Take a moment here to relax, roll the shoulders out a little bit. And then take a moment to close your eyes or bring your gaze to the floor. And just notice the sensation through the right side of the neck versus any sensations through the left side of the neck. For me, it's quite a different experience, the one that we've worked and the one that we haven't worked on yet. I think this piece of awareness and noticing in between poses or after you go through any of these movements is a really important part of the practice, important part of working with this. If you experience neck pain or just want to loosen up the upper area, it's a really important part of the practice to kind of know how your body reacts to the different poses that you're doing and start to understand, okay, this works for me, okay, this really doesn't, or what part of the neck is this getting into, or part of the shoulder. For me today, I really experienced that more through my trapezoid muscle and down around my shoulder blade a little bit more, but some days I experience it much more in the neck. It really can change from day to day. It can change from morning to evening. So a big part of yoga practice, even if it's just a 30-second yoga practice, is training your awareness and getting to know your body a little bit better so that you can use these tools in a functional way that works for you as an individual. Okay, enough yammering, let's do the other side. So we'll take that right hand down to some sort of surface for support, and then we'll sweep that left arm up. You'll notice that I try to keep this left shoulder back as I bring that arm up. We have a tendency sometimes to collapse a little bit. So we're going to try and not go as far. See, as farther I go, the more I collapse. So we're going to stay up pretty high. It's a really gentle side bend. You really don't need much. And you want to keep that shoulder open. It's going to be more effective if you can keep that shoulder open. So, flowing with the breath, we'll inhale and gaze up at the hand. And exhale, bending the elbow, energetically drawing that elbow down as we gaze towards the floor. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale up. Exhale down. And we'll hold on this next one. Inhale to extend that arm. Spinning that pinky down. Oh, you can't see. Spinning that pinky down towards the floor. So there's a little internal rotation of the arm here. And you'll get a nice little side stretch in with this neck contraction, which is pretty nice. And then exhale, we'll bend that elbow, gaze towards the floor, press that palm out and away to keep that shoulder open, creating as much space through here as possible. And with the next inhale, pull yourself back up to your seat. All right. Take a moment, close your eyes, and just become aware. Hopefully the different sides of the neck are a little bit more evened out now. But maybe there's an imbalance inside of your neck that working the pose in exactly the same way on both sides doesn't really address. So just take a moment to become aware of similarities and differences between the two sides of the neck, the tops of each shoulder. When you're ready, let's open the eyes. All right, we're going to do my go-to pose now. I usually like to stay on the very edge of my seat for this one, just to give my hips a little extra movement forward. But we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. So this is our bound ankle or Baddha Konasana seated variation. And you can do this a number of ways. With the feet closer to the hips, further away from the hips. You'll notice my right knee is way closer to the floor. I have a little bit of a imbalance, probably skeletal, in my hips that's creating that. And you may find that you have some differences as well, and that's okay. For me, it feels fine on both sides, so I'm just going to go with it. If you start to experience pain, however, at any time in this pose, in the knees, then you're going to want to either adjust your feet further from your body or closer to your body. If you can do that and get around the discomfort that way, then great. If not, take some blocks or some pillows and put them underneath your knees so that they're lifted a little bit more until you're not experiencing that discomfort. We do not want any discomfort in the knees here. So with this pose, and yes, it's a hip pose, but I'll tell you why it works for the neck. So I've found that this is one of the only poses that truly releases the discomfort that I experience close to my the very base of my skull, the top of my spine. So when we round the spine and fold forward, we have the opportunity to let the head hang straight towards the floor or towards the floor. And there's this whole weight of my head tugging right here along the neck, which is awesome. So I usually spend a couple of minutes in this pose whenever I'm experiencing pain in my neck, and it usually helps quite a bit. So like I said earlier with the yin pose that we were doing for the sides of the neck, I use this in a yin fashion as well, where I relax the body and I spend multiple minutes in the pose. But again, be careful with your yin practice, especially if you're new to it. Know that you don't have to stay, even if you set your timer for 3 minutes, you don't need to stay for 3 minutes. You can adjust the pose, you can come out of the pose. We don't want to experience pain. Any sharp experiences of sensation are things that we want to avoid. Those are good signs to come out of the pose. We're targeting the neck here. The sensation we get in the hips and thighs is just a super awesome bonus here. So let's spend a couple of breaths in this pose, letting the spine round forward, and make sure that the head, once you come all the way into your forward fold, is as heavy as possible. If you're gripping in the neck, if you find that your chin is wanting to lift or you're wanting to look forward, then you're starting to engage the muscles of the neck and you're not going to get that long, relaxed, pulling experience through the neck. So let the head be heavy, no tension in the shoulders, no tension in the neck. Let's spend a few rounds of breath here. Let's very slowly use your hands to press your way up. When you're coming out of a yin pose, of course, typically you would hold that longer. But when you're coming out, you want to be very slow and mindful with your movements. And then because we did get into the hips a little bit, we'll help the knees together as well. And we'll find a little release for the hips. Just gently windshield wipering the knees from side to side. Good. All right, let's move on to our next pose. So this one's going to be pretty similar, but it may be, you'll get a different sensation through the back. So I find that a lot of discomfort that happens in the neck and shoulders can come from experiences along the entire spine. You know, think of the body as like a spider web. We get something caught down here. Well, if you start to pull that, it's affecting what's happening over here, right? So you get a little bug caught in your spider web and it starts to wind something up down here. Well, it's going to create an effect throughout different areas of the body. So this is going to be a pose that targets the entire back body, and you can manipulate it in a few different ways in order to get the right sensation in the neck. And you may discover something new about your particular neck pain. So again, you don't need to sit on anything for this one. If you have, if you already feel like when you sit on the floor that you're folding forward, then great, don't sit on anything. I don't feel that way. So I always start just on the very edge of, even just like a little corner of a blanket really helps start to tilt the pelvis forward so that already I have this forward motion in the spine. If I were to sit on the floor, I'm starting to round, right? So just a little bit really does help if you find that you feel like you're falling backwards when you sit on the floor. So with this pose, if you keep the legs nice and straight, you're going to get a good stretch through the backs of the legs, which might be what you need. If you bend the knees a little bit, you can put a rolled blanket or something underneath there or just bend them. Then we're going to start to shift that sensation into the back more. So we're going to get more of a spinal muscle focused stretch here. And again, we're going to round forward and let the head hang. you may find that this forward fold has way more sensation than the last one that we did with the soles of our feet together. And that is because our fascia is connected from the bottoms of our feet all the way to the forehead. So we've got a lot more that's extended here, right? Versus with the knees bent, we've taken all of this out of the extension picture. So if you have a lot of tension in the backs of the legs, you may find that you have more sensation in the neck in this pose. You can do this one from your chair even. If you're seated in a chair, just put your feet on the floor and round forward, letting the head hang. That's going to create a nice bend in your knees, and then you'll really be able to get into the back body. And again, you can spend 30 seconds here, you can spend 5 minutes here, and anywhere in between. But try not to lose that deep, soft relaxation in the neck and the shoulders. The weight of the head is doing so much work here. With an inhale, slowly use your hands to press your way up. Take a moment to close your eyes. You can come back to a more comfortable seat for a moment as you just notice the sensations through the neck and shoulders and through the back body. All right, let's do a couple more flows. So this one is going to be upper back focused, and then we'll do one that's more full back focused. And again, you might not do these all in this particular order. They're really just little pieces that you can add into your practice to get a little extra of this. So this one is one that I learned from one of my restorative teachers back in Austin, and I've just kind of taken it with me. So from any comfortable seat, you can do this in your desk chair, you can do this on the couch, on the floor, seated on the edge of your bed in the morning. You're going to find a nice tall seat through the body. We're not going to move the lower part of the back very much. It's going to follow along, but we're trying to focus this movement through the upper back and shoulder area. You can think of the entire movement being created by your shoulder blades simply wrapping forward and wrapping towards one another. So we're going to take the arms forward. On the exhale, we're going to press the forearms forward. So you might feel your shoulder blades kind of sliding apart from one another and wrapping around the body. Then on the inhale, the shoulder blades are going to squeeze towards one another as you lift the sternum. Exhale, we round. So the lower belly is staying supportive here so that we don't dump any of that pressure into the lower back. And we're just going to flow here with the breath. If you're a visual person and you'd like to imagine the movement of your shoulder blades, they're drawing together right now. And then as you round forward, they're coming apart and separating. We'll take one more inhale. Really lift the heart, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Exhale, round those shoulder blades apart. And we'll relax the hands down to the thighs. I usually take a few rounds of shoulder rolls after that because it does build a little bit of tension in the area of the shoulders. All right. And then this next one, I'm actually going to remove my support so that I can create some back rocking motion. So this is going to be just a cat-cow movement. Again, you can do it from any seated position whatsoever. Anywhere that you can kind of hold onto your knees or the arms of your chair or whatever you have around you. And on the exhale, we're going to really just round the spine back. You can let the knees lift. You can take this as deep as you want to. And then we're going to rock forward and really lift the heart. And I like to always lift the chin a little bit and get some pressure in the back of the neck. It feels really good. So we're imagining the whole spine is rounding here. And then as we lift, the whole spine is rounding in the other direction. Of course, that's not exactly what's happening. But if you're a visual person, you can imagine that flow, just like the cat-cow that we do from kneeling. But this is a great variation if you have any knee or wrist pain, or simply want to do this from where you're seated at work. We'll take one more exhale. Always want to end with the spine rounded, and then we'll come to seated. All right, so those are a number of little movements, practices, poses that I do to relieve tension in the area of the upper back and shoulders and the neck. Of course, there are many more that I will integrate into future practices, and I will soon put together a full-length practice with the focus of relieving tension and working on the area of the shoulders, neck, and upper back. But for now, hopefully you can use these little movements and poses to integrate into your day, into your personal practice, to relieve that tension and to create a happier and healthier experience in your neck and shoulder. Thank you so much for joining me.